The other thing I think we have to remember is that our kids are smarter than us
Ah,
technological wise. I had quite a few experiences with the virtual learning, like how they weren't supposed to be able to do this and that and the other thing. Y'all, they can do whatever they want to do and they can figure it out and they can do it in a way that we can't figure it out. We don't see it. We don't know what's going on. Um, and our kids are just smarter than us. And if they're not, their friends are. And so they're telling you, we've had kids, friends of ours whose kids have gotten random phones from kids who don't need the phones anymore. Like there is
yeah.
a way around. And so the number one way you can keep them safe is delay the smartphone and delay social media as long as humanly possible. Um, and I get that that's hard,
Yeah.
right? It's not easy, but
How long would
parenting
you
isn't.
delay the smart? Like, so I know we're not there yet in age, but
Mhm.
and I know that you mentioned 18. Hey,
Mhm.
you when you can afford a smartphone,
Have
you
it.
go buy it yourself.
I don't care if they can afford it tomorrow. They ain't getting one.
So go ahead.
So for our family, what we have decided, and maybe just I have decided, but you are endlessly
Long for the ride.
you are endlessly supportive. But I think it's like one of those things. Like when you tell me we have to set up the camera and the white balance has to be 1600, I just say yes, sir, because I have no idea what you just said to me.
Hmm.
You don't dig into this stuff the way that I do, so I think it's one of those things where you're like, yeah, she knows what she's talking about, so we're gonna go with that. And of course, anything could change between here and there. Who even knows if we'll have smartphones in 8 years when our child is 18? For us, the smartphone will be delayed until 18. They don't need it. Like, they don't, for what? What do they need it for? Social media will also be delayed until 18. I don't see any reason why they need it. They can have, was it the Bark and the Gab phones?
Hmm.
Sure, if they get a job and they're away and I need to talk to them, or they need to call us for rides or whatever, they'll have a phone and it will call me and text me. It will not get on the internet. They'll have access to a family computer, of course. We homeschool, they have to do things.
Hmm.
Um, but they will not, in our home, have access to those things. They don't need them.
I agree. I'm thinking about our nephew right now. I know we have many of them, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm referring to the one who did not have a phone. And I remember one of the reasons that he did not have a phone is because he came across something, however it came across, right, that
Mm-hmm.
was inappropriate. And parents just took away the phone,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so, but he didn't have a phone for
Years.
years.
Mm-hmm.
And now, as an adult, one thing to his credit is I think that he communicates well with people when he's face to face. Like he picks up the phone, like
Mm-hmm.
you're not even, he may not respond to a text message, but he will pick up the phone
Mm-hmm.
if you call him.
And he can
And,
hold a
and he can hold a
conversation.
conversation
Right.
face to face.
And he's freaking precious.
Whereas other people his age
Cannot.
cannot, right? And so I think at this point he's early 20s, and I feel as if from the early 20-year-olds that I know,
Mm-hmm.
he's able to still have a conversation with somebody.
Yes.
And just like these bare kind of what seems like bare minimum, or
He doesn't even have social media, does he?
yeah, I think like we just don't see him on it,
Yeah.
right?
Like he's not super active.
But he's not at there. I don't think that
Yeah.
he's active, which I'm sure there's other apps that he uses that he's more active on.
Well, we know he loves video games.
Yeah, and so, but once again, he is able to articulate himself and present himself, I think, in a manner that is, I was going to say pleasurable to people, but
Pleasant.
pleasant. There you go.
Pleasant.
Pleasant to people.
The other thing, if we look comparatively to, we know quite a few. We worked in youth ministry. We have tons of nieces and nephews. If we look at all of the 20, or let's just say 16 to 25-year-olds that we know and love in our life, he's probably doing the best mental health wise also. He seems confident in who he is. He seems like, he's making good choices and doesn't seem like he is struggling mental health wise. Where if we look at other people in that group, we've had lots of mental health issues. And I'm not saying it's all screen related, but could be.
Yeah.
Could be.
And you brought so many memories back, as you mentioned, like youth pastoring, youth pastoring youth,
leading youth, whatever.
whatever that term is.
Ministering to the youth.
Ugh.
Ugh. But how many times were phones issues? And how many times
there
were
were
we?
a ton of times.
And there were times where we would go to parents and be like, "Hey, this is what's happening, and it's not great." And the parents would be like, "Well, we've got it under control." Do you? Do you? Because now where I'm seeing where things you don't, and it's not like I was right, you were wrong, but it's like, hey, sometimes people know things and are aware of things, and maybe we should just be open to like trying something different.
Perhaps just a little bit open.
A little bit. But I think too, one thing that gives us maybe a good backbone is that we discovered our why when our kids were young. So
what would you say is, just so it's out there, what is your why?
So our why for
what is our why?
Our why that I've come up with for limiting screen time. So we do limit screen time quite a bit. And I think on average, like kids have like 7 or 8 hours of screen time. It's like an insane amount of screen time a day. Our why for that is that their mental health, like their ability to cope, their meltdowns are insane. The fact that these things are addictive, like scientifically addictive. We want better for them. We want them to be creative. We want them to get bored. We want them to, like I said before, we did that 2-week detox. They both learned one learned how to ride a bike, one learned how to rollerblade in like a minute. And the riding the bike thing, we've been working on forever.
I remember that. Yes.
Oh my gosh. But we took the screens away. You gotta find something to do, and you figured out how to ride a bike. With the screen time thing, this is what I think about when we make any decision for the kids. Like, we get a bunch of crap because I don't drop our kids off. We don't drop our kids off anywhere. They don't go to VBS. They don't go to camp. They don't do anything unless one of us is there. Yeah. And we get a lot of crap about that. But my thought is, okay, I could take them to VBS. I could drop them off. Chances are they'll be fine. But what if they're not? Am I willing to risk that? So I could give them a smartphone, and they're good kids, and I could say, hey, guys, only listen to music and podcasts.